back half serious, half curious, hoping they can touch your life again without changing anything inside themselves. No, something in them has shifted because the distance taught them what your silence would never need to explain. It taught them that your heart is not casual, your energy is not easy. Your love is not something a person can test, mishandle, delay, and still expect to find waiting in the same place. And that is exactly why this reading feels different. This does not feel like someone coming back to play. It feels like someone coming back corrected. The first card appearing here is Justice. This card tells me a truth has landed in them, not a soft little realization, a full one. The kind that makes a person look back at their own behavior and finally understand the weight of it. Justice is accountability, emotional consequence. The moment someone sees clearly that the way they handled you created the very distance they are now feeling. So if they are returning now, it may be because they finally understand that you were never the kind of person to bend for confusion, just because someone else was not ready to be honest. The next card appearing here is the Emperor. Now the energy becomes much more serious. This is someone wanting to stand straighter, speak clearer, and approach you with more structure than before. The Emperor does not want chaos when something matters. He wants to show up properly. He wants to take responsibility, because this person may now know that if they come towards you the old way, they lose you the old way. So something about their return feels more grounded, more deliberate, more aware. The next card appearing here is the Five of Cups. This card says regret is part of what changed them. Not surface regret, the kind that keeps a person up in their own head, the kind that makes them replay moments and hear their own tone differently. The kind that makes them realize they were standing in front of something meaningful and did not treat it with the care it deserved. They may now understand that your absence is not random. It is the echo of what they failed to honor. And when regret becomes that honest, a person often stops wanting to play games. They start wanting to repair. The next card appearing here is the Queen of Swords. This is your energy in the reading, and it is powerful. You may have shown them without needing many words that you are not someone who rewards inconsistency. You are not someone who chases confusion until it turns into clarity, and that may be exactly what woke them up. The next card appearing here is the Hierophant. This is where the reading becomes deeply meaningful, because it says the lesson may have moved them out of shallow energy and into serious energy. The Hierophant is commitment, respect, a different level of intention. It suggests that the return is not only emotional, it may be moral in a strange way. Like they now understand they have to approach you differently because what you offered was not ordinary. You may have become the standard they could not reduce. And now they may want to rise to meet that standard instead of trying to bend you beneath it. The next card appearing here is the Knight of Pentacles. This confirms that the return may be slower, steadier, and more careful than you expected. The Knight of Pentacles is not flashy. He is sincere through consistency. He knows that if trust has been damaged, words alone will not fix it. Time, patience, effort, and visible change will be required. So if this person is coming back, the cards say they may already know they cannot charm their way back into your space. They may have to earn it. And that realization is part of what makes this feel correct. The final card appearing here is the Sunday. This is the blessing over the whole message, because the Sunday says the truth has become visible now. You are not someone to be played with, not because you are harsh, because you are real. Your love has weight, your energy has standards. Your absence has taught them what your presence was truly worth. So the message coming through is very clear. They are coming back differently because they finally understand who you are, not the version of you they hoped would keep tolerating less. The real you, the one whose heart deserves honesty, the one whose love deserves respect, the one whose silence taught them more than argument ever could. And that is why this return feels changed, not perfect yet, but changed, not shallow, but sobered, not playful, but aware. Because when someone finally realizes they were standing in front of a person whose heart was sacred, the game dies, and what begins after that, if it is real, looks a lot more like reverence. They know now your quiet was not weakness, it was value, standing still. This part of the reading feels like the moment where they stop romanticizing the situation and start understanding the standard they are actually dealing with. Because it is one thing to miss someone, it is another thing to realize that the person you mishandled was never built to keep accepting half effort. The first card appearing here is the Six of Swords. This card says their mind is moving away from the old mentality now. away from emotional immaturity, away from the belief that time alone would smooth things over without accountability. The Six of Swords is transition. It is the slow crossing from confusion into understanding. So if they are coming back differently, it may be because they have spent real time sitting with the consequences of what happened, and that inner crossing changed them. The next card appearing here is the King of Swords. Now the energy sharpens because this card says they are seeing you more clearly than before, not through ego, not through convenience. Clearly, the King of Swords is the card of honest recognition. They may finally understand that your boundaries were not cruelty, your distance was not drama, your silence was not emptiness, it was discernment, it was self-respect. It was the natural response of someone who knows their heart is not a playground. That kind of realization can sober a person very quickly. The next card appearing here is the Four of Pentacles. This tells me they may now understand what it means to lose access, not in a theatrical sense, in a real one. The warmth that was there before may no longer feel as easy to reach. The closeness they once treated lightly may now feel protected. And the Four of Pentacles says that change matters because people often learn value when access shifts. They learn what was precious once it is no longer freely flowing around them. The next card appearing here is the Judgment card. This is powerful. Judgment says they have had a wake-up call, the kind that breaks old excuses, the kind that makes a person hear truth inside themselves more loudly than before. They may now know that if they return to you the way they left you, they lose the chance all over again. So their heart may be telling them very directly, grow up, speak cleanly, come right, or do not come at all. That is why this return feels more serious. The next card appearing here is the Queen of Pentacles. This is your energy again, but seen from a different angle. The Queen of Pentacles is worth stability, self-possession, and the kind of grounded grace that does not need to perform to be felt. They may now understand that your love was never chaotic. It was valuable. It was nourishing. It was something that could have grown into real security, and that may be part of what they regret most, because once a person recognizes they mishandled something truly good, their whole posture changes. The next card appearing here is the Eight of Pentacles. This confirms effort. Real effort, not only an apology mood, not only emotional nostalgia. The Eight of Pentacles says they may be preparing to show change through consistency, through patience, through better choices, through a different kind of presence than before, because if they are serious now, they may know that words alone cannot carry the return. What matters is whether their behavior shows they learned the lesson. The final card appearing here is the Ace of Pentacles. And this is beautiful because it says the return may not only be about revisiting the past, it may be about offering something more solid than before. A cleaner beginning, a more respectful opening, a chance to build from a better foundation. The Ace of Pentacles is not interested in empty talk. It wants something real enough to hold. So the message of this part becomes very clear. They are coming back corrected because they finally understand that you are not someone who can be handled carelessly and then approached casually. They may now see that if they want another chance, they have to approach your heart with more truth, more steadiness, more maturity, and much more respect than before. There is one more layer here too. Part of what changed them may be the realization that your absence did not make you smaller in their eyes. It made you clearer as value, clearer as standard, clearer as someone whose presence was never supposed to be taken lightly. And once that kind of truth lands, a person either keeps running from it, or they turn around and come back differently. This reading says they may be trying to do the second, not to play. Not to test, not to see what they can still get away with, but to see whether something honest can still be built. Now that they finally understand who they were dealing with all along, because now they know your heart is not won through games, it is met through truth or not at all. A more intimate honesty moves through this reading now, and this part feels like the moment where their pride is no longer leading the return. Because missing you is one thing, wanting access again is one thing, but understanding why they lost that access in the first place, that is deeper. The first card appearing here is the Hermit. This card says they have spent more time with themselves than you may realize. Not in a dramatic way, in a confronting way. The Hermit is what happens when the noise dies down and a person is left alone with their own choices. So this person may have replayed the distance, the coldness, the delay, the moments where they acted like your heart would keep waiting while they sorted themselves out. And in that quiet, the truth may have started speaking very clearly. You were never asking for too much. They were simply not showing up the right way. The next card appearing here is the Five of Cups. This card brings a very human sadness into the reading because now they may be able to feel the weight of what was lost. Not only what was wanted, the Five of Cups is regret with emotional memory attached to it. It says they may now be seeing how much warmth, trust, and openness once existed and how easily it was bruised by the way they handled things. That kind of regret changes people when they actually let themselves feel it. The next card appearing here is the Strength card. Now the energy shifts because Strength says the return may require more from them than emotion alone. It may require restraint. Humility, patience, the willingness to approach gently instead of expecting instant forgiveness. This card says they may know now that if they come back to you, they cannot come with entitlement. They have to come with self-control and with real respect for the pace your heart may need. That realization is part of why this feels corrected. The next card appearing here is the Two of Pentacles. This tells me they may have spent time trying to manage too many emotional truths at once. Their pride, their longing, their fear, their hope. But the Two of Pentacles also says that balancing everything badly is no longer working. At some point, a person has to stop juggling and choose how they actually want to live. And this person may now be realizing that keeping you in uncertainty while they manage their own internal chaos is not something your energy will keep tolerating. The next card appearing here is the Queen of Cups. This is beautiful because it says they may still feel the softness of your heart very strongly. They may remember the tenderness you offered, the emotional intelligence you carried, the way your care felt deep without needing to be loud, and that memory may now be shaping how they think about approaching you. Because when someone understands they mishandled a gentle heart, they often stop wanting to come in roughly. They start wanting to come in carefully. The next card appearing here is the Knight of Pentacles. This card confirms, again, that the return may be slower, steadier, and more grounded than before. Not flashy, not dramatic. But serious, the Knight of Pentacles is the energy of someone who knows trust is rebuilt step by step, word by word, action by action. So if they are coming back correctly, they may already understand that they cannot skip the quiet work of earning emotional safety. Again, the final card appearing here is the Star, and this is the grace over the whole part, because the Star says hope is still alive here, but it is cleaner now, less ego, less noise. More sincerity, they may not only hope you still care. They may hope they can approach you in a way that finally honors what you always deserved in the first place. So the message of this part becomes very clear. They are coming back differently because life distance and regret have made them look at you with clearer eyes. Not as someone who would always be there no matter how they behaved, not as someone who would keep shrinking to make their confusion easier, but as someone whose heart deserved care the first time. There is one more layer here too. Part of what may be changing them now is the realization that you did not teach them this lesson through punishment. You taught it through absence, through dignity, through the quiet power of not abandoning yourself just because they were not ready to value what stood in front of them. And that kind of lesson stays with a person. It does not fade quickly. It keeps working on them in private until they either become more honest or lose the chance completely. This reading says they may know that now, and that knowledge may be exactly why the return feels less like performance and more like humility. Less like a game, more like a real attempt to meet your value with something true. At last, they may finally understand your silence was never empty. A quieter strength enters this part of the reading, and it feels like the return is no longer being powered by guilt alone. It is being shaped by understanding, because regret can make a person look backward, but respect is what makes them come forward differently. The first card appearing here is the Six of Pentacles. This card says they may finally understand balance. Not the kind they spoke about before, the kind they failed to practice before. The Six of Pentacles is the card of equal exchange, fair effort, and emotional reciprocity. So if they are returning to you now, part of what changed may be the realization that love cannot keep flowing one-sided without eventually pulling back to protect itself. They may now see that you gave more grace than they deserved, more patience than they honored, and more genuine energy than they were mature enough to handle at the time. That kind of realization changes the posture of a person. The next card appearing here is the King of Pentacles. Now the energy becomes even more serious because this card is not interested in empty emotion. It wants dependability, presence, action that can be trusted. The King of Pentacles says they may no longer want to come in with promises they cannot hold or feelings they have not learned how to steady. They may now understand that if they approach you again, they need to be more grounded than they were before, not louder, not more dramatic, just real. The next card appearing here is the Eight of Cups. This is important because it says they may be leaving behind more than one old pattern. Not only the mistake they made with you, but also the inner habits that made that mistake possible. Avoidance, emotional pride, immaturity. The tendency to delay truth until the connection starts hurting. The Eight of Cups says something in them knows they cannot walk back towards you while still clinging to the same version of themselves that mishandled you. So if this return feels corrected, it may be because they are trying to walk away from who they were when they hurt you. The next card appearing here is the Page of Pentacles. This card says the return may begin with humility, a simple message, a grounded gesture. A small but sincere opening. The Page of Pentacles does not come in trying to overpower the moment. It comes in willing to learn, willing to build, willing to start with honesty instead of ego. And that may be exactly what this person now understands is necessary, because your heart is not something they can sweep back into the old rhythm with charm alone. It requires care. The next card appearing here is the Nine of Pentacles. This card is your value reflected back to them again. Your self-respect, your steadiness, your refusal to chase what disrespects peace. The Nine of Pentacles says they may be seeing that your standards are not decoration. They are the shape of your worth. And if they want to stand beside you again, they may need to show that they understand that worth now, not just admire it from a distance. The next card appearing here is the Ace of Swords. Here comes the truth, clean, sharp, unavoidable. The Ace of Swords says they may finally understand that they do not need a perfect speech. They need honesty, not a performance. Not a strategy, honesty. And that may be why their energy feels clearer. Now less slippery, less emotionally hidden, more direct in the way someone becomes direct when they finally accept what the truth has been asking of them all along. The final card appearing here is the Four of Wands. And this is beautiful because it says the corrected return is not only about apology. It is about alignment, about wanting something better than what existed before. Something steadier, something joyful, something that could actually hold two people without one person carrying all the emotional weight. The Four of Wands says they may now realize that if they are allowed back into your life, it must be with the intention to create peace, not to disturb it again. So the message of this part becomes very clear. They are not coming back the same. They may have learned that your love is not casual, your energy is not cheap, and your silence is not a space where games survive for long. There's one more layer here too. Part of what may be humbling the most is the understanding that your boundaries did not destroy the connection. Their behavior did. Your distance only revealed what their choices had already started. And once a person understands that clearly, the blame shifts, the mask drops. The lesson becomes personal. This reading says they may be living inside that lesson now, and it may be exactly what is making the return more honest, more grounded, and much more respectful than before. And now, if they step toward you again, it may be with clear eyes and the understanding that your heart must be met brightly. Gently now. A calmer kind of truth settles over this part of the reading, and it feels like the return is becoming less about what they want from you and more about what they now understand they owe the connection. Because there is a difference between missing someone and respecting what their heart required all along. The first card appearing here is the Ten of Wands. This card says they may finally feel the weight of the old version of themselves. The heavy patterns, the careless habits, the emotional shortcuts, what once looked easy to carry may now feel exhausting. The Ten of Wands is the card of burden becoming too obvious to ignore. So if they are coming back differently, it may be because they are tired of carrying the very behavior that cost them peace in the first place. The next card appearing here is the Queen of Pentacles. This is your energy seen through their new eyes, grounded, valuable, warm, but not available to chaos. The Queen of Pentacles does not beg to be cherished. She simply is worthy of it, and that may be exactly what they understand now. You were never someone to approach carelessly. You were someone to protect, to respect, to meet with steadiness. That truth may now feel painfully clear to them. The next card appearing here is the Judgment card. This card says the lesson has already landed, not halfway, not vaguely. Judgment is what happens when someone hears the truth of their own actions so clearly that they cannot hide behind old excuses anymore. They may now know exactly where they were immature, exactly where they let pride or confusion speak louder than care, exactly where they treated something sacred like it would always remain accessible. The next card appearing here is the Knight of Pentacles. This confirms again that if they return, it may be with patience, intention, a quieter sincerity. They may no longer want quick emotional access if they have not rebuilt trust the right way. The Knight of Pentacles is not interested in shortcuts. He knows what matters must be tended. So this person may now understand that if they want your openness again, they must approach slowly enough to show that their change is not temporary. The next card appearing here is the Six of Cups. And this brings tenderness into everything because while they are learning, they are also remembering the kindness, the softness, the warmth that once existed between you. The Six of Cups says memory may now be helping teach them what your presence actually was, not convenience, not entertainment, emotional comfort, a kind of sweetness they may not have fully recognized until distance made it precious. The next card appearing here is the Emperor. Now the energy grows stronger, more responsible, more upright. The Emperor says they may want to return in a way that is clear, stable, and serious. Not slippery, not half-present, not emotionally vague. This card is about standing up properly. So if they are coming back corrected, part of that correction may be the willingness to show up with backbone. Not just emotion. The final card appearing here is the Star. And this is the grace over the whole part because the Star says their return may now carry hope that is cleaner than before. Less selfish, less impulsive, more aware of what healing would actually require. They may not only hope you still care. They may hope they can prove through real consistency that they understand your worth now. So the message of this part becomes very clear. They are coming back more humbled, more aware, and more careful than before. Not because they suddenly became perfect, but because your absence, your boundaries, and your refusal to play with your own value may have shown them exactly what kind of heart they were standing in front of all along. There is one more layer here too. Part of what may be making this return feel so different is that they are no longer approaching you from appetite alone, not from loneliness alone, not from ego needing reassurance. They may be approaching from recognition that your love had dignity, recognition that your peace was not negotiable. Recognition that if they are ever allowed close again, it must be with cleaner hands and a truer spirit than before. That is why the energy feels more settled. Now, more respectful, more real, because they may finally understand that you are not the lesson they outgrow. You are the lesson that grows them up. And for some of you, this person may already know that the old way of approaching you is gone forever. They may feel that if they return carelessly, they lose the chance before it even begins. So the heart may now be asking for honesty over charm, consistency over intensity, and real effort over empty emotion. That is why the return feels corrected. Not because the past vanished, but because they know it cannot be repeated if they truly want the future to include you. At last, a final softness moves through this reading, and yet underneath that softness, there is a truth so steady it cannot be shaken anymore. They know now, not in the half-awake way people know something and still try to avoid it, not in the careless way people feel something and assume they will have endless time to make it right. They know with clarity, with humility. With the kind of knowing that changes the way a person returns. The first card appearing here is the World. This card says a cycle has completed inside them. The old way of seeing you, the old way of handling love. The old way of assuming your heart would wait while they stayed emotionally unformed. That chapter may be closing now. The World is completion. But it is also understanding they may finally see the whole picture. What you offered, what they mishandled, what your absence taught, what your standards revealed, and once someone sees all of that clearly, they rarely come back with the same energy they left with. The next card appearing here is the Ace of Cups. This is important because it says the return is not empty, not only regret, not only bruised pride. There is still real feeling here. Open feeling. living feeling. The Ace of Cups says their heart may still be full where you are concerned, and that fullness may now be asking to be expressed in a cleaner, more truthful way than before. They may no longer want to hide behind confusion when what they feel has already become obvious to them. The next card appearing here is Justice, and this card gives the reading its spine. Because Justice says they know now that if they come back, they must come back rightly, with honesty, with accountability, with the understanding that your heart is not a place for vague intentions or emotional laziness. Justice is not punishment here. It is alignment. It is someone finally understanding that love only becomes safe when truth stands beside it. The next card appearing here is the King of Pentacles. This says the energy of the return may now be grounded, serious, more dependable than before. The King of Pentacles is not interested in saying beautiful things he cannot sustain. He wants to build, to show up, to make what matters feel protected. So if this person is returning corrected, it may be because they now know that you deserve something they can stand in consistently, not only something they can feel dramatically for a moment. The next card appearing here is the Star. And this is beautiful because it says hope is still alive, not frantic hope, not desperate hope, gentle hope. The kind that grows when someone believes healing may still be possible if they approach with enough sincerity. They may hope that your heart has not closed forever, hope that respect can reopen what carelessness once damaged. The next card appearing here is the Four of Wands. This card says they are not only thinking about apology, they may be thinking about peace, about rebuilding something steadier, about a connection that no longer has to survive through emotional instability. The Four of Wands is the card of joy made safe, love made visible. So if they return, part of what they may want is not only access to you again, but the chance to create a better atmosphere around the bond itself. The final card appearing here is the Sunday. And this is the clearest blessing the reading could end with, because the Sunday says the truth has become simple now. You are not someone to test, not someone to delay, not someone to approach with half heart and expect full access. You are someone to honor. That is the final message here. They are coming back corrected because they finally understand that your love has weight, your energy has standards, your quiet has wisdom in it. And whether they say all of that directly or not, the cards say they know it now. They know your value. They know what they risked. They know that if they want to stand near your heart again, they must stand there with more maturity, more steadiness, and much more truth than before. There is one last layer here, and it feels important to say it gently. Sometimes the deepest lesson a person learns about love arrives after they mishandle the very thing they needed most. Not because love was cruel, but because real love will not stay in a place where it is being diminished. It steps back. It lets silence teach what words could not. It lets absence reveal value. It lets dignity become the mirror. That may be what happened here. And now if they return, it may no longer be with the energy of someone trying their luck. It may be with the energy of someone who finally understands they were standing in front of something rare. Thank you for being here and sharing this reading with me. If this message met your heart at the right moment, please like, share, and subscribe. Take gentle care of your spirit. And I will see you in the next reading. Not in the careless way people feel something and assume they will have endless time to make it right. They know with clarity, with humility. With the kind of knowing that changes the way a person returns. The first card appearing here is the World. This card says a cycle has completed inside them. The old way of seeing you, the old way of handling love. The old way of assuming your heart would wait while they stayed emotionally unformed. That chapter may be closing now. The World is completion. But it is also understanding they may finally see the whole picture. What you offered, what they mishandled, what your absence taught, what your standards revealed, and once someone sees all of that clearly, they rarely come back with the same energy they left with. The next card appearing here is the Ace of Cups. This is important because